Hello once again, fellow Star Trek fans and fellow fans of the USS Enterprise. I'd like to welcome you to another video in regards to the Build the Enterprise D by Eaglemoss. And this video is going to feature Build 4. You can see this is going to be for part 4 in the series build, and this is going to have 11, 12, 13, and 14 for the parts packs. So, without further ado, let's take it over to the desk and I'll show you guys what comes with this part. All right, so let me show you guys what's going to come in Build 4. You can see number 4, the magazine. And we'll go through that in a second, but let's show you guys the parts pack. We'll start with number 11. You can see USS Enterprise D. And on the back, there's some information. I think the same information for everything for the back of these small cards. But part 11, you can see there's some lights. And we have what appear to be some windows. And I'm thinking that this is going to go in the back of the dorsal pylon or the saucer pylon at the top of the secondary hull. And we have another section where it looks like it has the reflective backing that's going to hold that into place. We'll see. And on the bottom, we've got the pie piece for the primary hull. So that's 11, part 12. We have part 12. And looks like we have that other window section and the other reflective backing. There are no lights in this one, but it's got the screws. But there are what appear to be the braces for the primary hull frame. So there's not a whole lot in part 12. Well, no flash anyway. Just the kind of basic parts that we need. And parts bag number 13 has something interesting. It looks like we get our first look at the what looks like is going to be an impulse engine. We have some screws. And on the bottom, we've got another section of the pie, the piece for the primary hull. And I'll show you all these in a sec. I'll take them out of the packaging, but I just wanted to give you a preview. And part number 14, we have a couple of interesting parts. I'm not sure what that is yet. We'll see the instructions. And we actually have the introduction of another circuit board. We've got a small circuit board for this one. And we've got another section of the hull. So, looking forward to doing this. So we have 11, 12, 13, and 14 in the parts. So I'll open all of it for you in a second, but I want to show you guys the magazine. Again, check out the cover, and this is issue number 4 in the build. And you can see in this issue, I give you an idea of what's to come. And we can look at the parts list for stage 11. And you can see the windows and the frame, and a couple of pieces of wire with the lights. So stage 12, you can see what's in it. There's not a whole lot in stage 12. Flashy anyway. Over to stage 13. Again, not a lot of exciting parts, but these parts are necessary to the structure of the model. Stage 14. So you can see the circuit board. So we're moving on to the stage 11 assembly. In this stage, several decks gained their aft portside windows, along with LED lighting to give them a lifelike glow. Meanwhile, the saucer structure continues to expand. And you can see the key. Red is used for screws, yellow is for the new parts, and gray shows the assembly so far, and the blue shows the illuminated parts. You can see the section of the ship where this is going to focus on. And this is from last time. You guys remember the last video. So we're going to put in the lights, the windows. And you can see, moving on to step B, the insertion of the lights. Step C, you see the insertion of the screws once the lights are in. And now we move on. You can see the part that we made last time, screw. It's going to attach to the frame that we have so far for the primary hull. On to stage 12. As starboard windows and lights complete their portside equivalents from the previous stage, both banks of lookouts are illuminated for the first time. You can see this is going to be the starboard side. And step A, doing the same thing. The window pieces are going to go in. I'm going to angle the bulbs. And step B, keep the plastic bags that held the parts for each stage. They will come in useful when you receive parts that need to be saved for later stages rather than used immediately. And don't forget, we got the screw box as well. Part C, the BP screws that are going to hold the panel in place. Now bend all 4 cables of the rear light windows and rear window light so that they point towards the wider end of the bottom of the battle section near the neck. You want to get the wires so they're not in the way, and so that they don't show up through other windows. You can see the power pack that we had. I think it was step 2. We got those. Retrieve your battery box and PCB board. Then plug the battery into slot F. Next, plug the left windows in slot A and right windows into slot B. You can see the diagram that they have, and that'll light up the whole back of the saucer pylon, which is going to be nice. Moving on to step E, you can see where we're going to take more of the frames, and we're going to continue to build on the main frame of the primary hull. And that moves us on to stage 13. Install the housing for the glowing main impulse engine and see the dramatic curve of the saucer structure start to sweep back on itself. You can see the section. Place the main impulse engine, 13B, on the narrow end of the battle section near the neck. You can see it fixes with BP screws, so that's the impulse engine, one of them. Moving on to step B, building more on the frame, and it's really going to start to get large after this build. Position the upper skeleton next to the upper skeleton 1, 2, 3. So the screws, the holes, the skeletal supports align for appropriate screw holes in the upper skeleton. You can see it really starting to come together. So on to stage 14. Another addition to the saucer skeletal makes its iconic shape unmistakable before the powerful main impulse engine glows red for the very first time. You can see the sections that will be issued or addressed. You can see the really starting to take shape now. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a nice meaty model because this is going to really be sturdy. Moving on to section B, and you can see the main impulse engine and where it's going to go. And that's going to be lit. You can see the screws that go in to hold it into place. And then one of the fun parts of the model building process is to try it out. So the main impulse engine will be glowing. And that marks the end of stage 14. So that's it for the building instructions for this model. So moving on to, this is where no one has gone before. And I don't know about you guys, but I like the time traveler. I thought he was pretty cool. And I know most of the focus of the attention seemed to be on Wesley, but I like the time traveler. Episode 1.6, this premiered October 26, 1987. A mysterious being known as the Traveler takes the Enterprise to a far distant realm where the boundaries between reality and imagination are blurred. You can see Starfleet engineer. And look at that interesting creature. Concept for the Klingon Targ. All right, next episode, Lonely Among Us, and one of my favorite characters, Lieutenant Commander Worf. Episode 1.7, and this premiered November 2nd, 1987. When the Enterprise scans an unusual energy cloud, a being of pure energy is drawn onto the ship, taking control of Captain Picard's mind. The concept art for Sally and the Antikins. And then on the bottom, you can see the concept art for the medical diagnosis device, one by Dr. Crusher. And then we go into the casting of Jonathan Frakes as William Riker. Gene Roddenberry's initial choice, first officer, was Billy Campbell, who would guest star in a second season. The outrageous Opana are the names considered for the character. Originally Riker were Greg Marks from Days of Our Lives, Ben Murphy, and Broadway actor Michael O'Gorman. I'm glad that they decided on Jonathan Frakes. I just can't imagine back then, First Officer Commander Riker played by anybody else. And that brings us to the next episode. This one was titled Justice. You can see this was episode 1.8, and this aired November 9th, 1987. Captain Picard struggles with the Prime Directive when a peaceful people with harsh law sentences sentence Wesley Crusher to death for a minor offense. You can see the people that played characters. The orbiting vessel, worshipped as a god by the Edo, was built as a physical model and composition composited into effect shots to appear semi-transparent. The same model was later used for the Lysian Central Command Station in the Season 5 episode Conundrum, where it was depicted as an entirely solid structure. I see that beautiful picture of the Enterprise. Next episode of interest is The Battle. And this was episode 1.9, which premiered November 16th, 1987. Reunited with his old ship, the USS Stargazer, Picard finds himself reliving a deadly battle while under the influence of a Ferengi mind control device. You guys remember the Ferengi attempted to, quote, give a gift to Captain Picard by giving the Stargazer back to him. And all along it was a mind control device, because in the battle, I believe it was his son that Captain Picard had killed during the battle, Damon Bach. You can see a lovely depiction of the Stargazer. The original Stargazer, NCC-1701-D, was conceived by Andy Probert and Rick Sternbach. To set up the ship apart from designs that had been seen before, the pair decided to give it 4 Walt nacelles rather than usual 2. And I love the models, and this is no exception. It's a beautiful ship. I think they actually sell models of the Stargazer. That'd be a really interesting... I'd love to see AMT make the Stargazer. You can see that's a nicer picture of the ship, or the model. You can see the... I love when they show the models. I'd love to have that model. I did what any good helmsman would have done. Talking about the Picard maneuver, where the enemy photon torpedo would hit the spot where the ship had just prior gone to warp, and the explosion would make them think that they had destroyed the ship. The underside of the filming model, relabeled as a non-canonical USS Valkyrie, NCC-1701-D for Star Trek The Exhibition in the late 1990s. So they did reuse the model of the Stargazer. And the casting for Mr. Data. And along with William Riker, Jonathan Frakes. I mean, can you guys imagine Mr. Data being played by anyone other than Brent Spiner? Described in the 1987 Writer's Guide, the creation of the unknown aliens, the Next Generation android second officer originally conceived as having a split personality. Kind of like his alter ego brother, Lore, which I'm very fond of. I think Lore is pretty cool. Again, Brent Spiner, Mr. Data. Next episode they feature is another one of my favorite characters, is Q, the return of Q. This is 1.0, and this aired November 23rd, 1987. Impressed by its first encounter with humans, the Q Continuum grants Riker a godlike power into a bizarre and deadly game. You remember at the end, he gets women for Mr. Worf and makes Wesley a man, and all of them give back the gifts. And he feels foolish at having the power, and in the end, he does not have the power. Well, Riker is not, they're not able to corrupt him. You can see that's Wesley as a man that Riker had made him. You can see the officer beasts that they were fighting on a planet. Lieutenant Worf dies and is resurrected for the first time in hiding Q. He goes on to return from the dead twice more in the Season 3 episode Transfigurations, as well as Season 5's Ethics. You guys remember he also, where he got that the big case or the barrel had fallen on him and made him a cripple, where he was paralyzed from the neck down and he wanted to be killed. Next episode is titled Haven, and this is episode 1.11, and premiered November 30th, 1987. Troy's arranged marriage is complicated by the arrival of her mother and a woman that her husband-to-be has seen only in his dreams. Moving on to the next thing, one of the concept arts. Andrew Probert concept for the Turellian ship, so it pulled along behind a spherical energy source. Moving on, the next episode will be titled The Big Goodbye, episode 1.12, and this aired January 11th, 1988. Hoping to unwind before an important diplomatic mission, Captain Picard plays private detective on a holodeck, only to become trapped there with Data and Dr. Crusher. I don't know what you guys feel or your feelings are on the holodeck episodes where he's a detective, and those are some of my least favorite episodes. My favorite episodes involve the ship and the other ships, the space battles. I like that. The holodeck is nice, like when Riker introduced Picard to Minuet and, things like that, but I prefer the space and the ship-focused episodes. Lawrence Turney, the gangster. Shades of Star Trek, the original series, with Krakow and wow, I can't believe I can't remember the episode of the name of the original series. Anyway, I'll think about it. You can see a very lovely looking Dr. Crusher. This page and the next spread a promotional Photoshop that took advantage of the episode's distinctive look. You can see them, the characters and the period costumes. You can see the car. That's a nice touch. Mr. Data. And this is a really nice photo. Dr. Crusher looking very lovely. Dixon Hill will return in Season 2's Manhunt, Season 4's Clues, as well as on the big screen. And my friends, that is everything in this magazine, issue number 4. So let's take a look at all of them actually, the parts packs. So let's put these aside. And we'll start with number 11. Okay, start with the most obvious. We got a nice section of the frame. And like all of them, this is metal. Very nice. Love it. Let's see. And then we have what appears to be, looks like it's getting cut through, another set of lights. And we got a set of screws. This is BP screws. And you can see the reflective background for the windows that go behind the saucer pylon. You can see where the lights are going to go, and then it's going to be screwed into place. You can see the lights themselves. I got a pair of bulbs. And I'll show you guys the connector pins. And there's more screws. These are BM screws. And a little part fell. This is the part that fell on the floor. You can see the windows that go in the back of the section. The saucer pylon. And this could be the port side. We'll see. And we have another LED wire cable with two bulbs. You can see the alligator clip. And that's everything that's in parts pack number 11. Okay, let's move on. Parts pack number 12. And this one has more of the braces for the frame. All right, so you can see the reflective backing for the windows, the back of the saucer pylon. This is for the right side. And we can see the windows themselves. You can see there's clear and there's darkened windows. Again, it goes by the screen lighting pattern. And we've got screws. Let's see, we've got a packet of the BM screws. The M, of course, meaning that they go into metal. And the BP screws, meaning that they go into the plastic pieces. And let's see, we have more bracing for the inner part, or the thicker part of the saucer section hull. And we've got a smaller or thinner piece for the outer part. And we've got two of those. So two outer and two inner so far. And that's everything in parts pack number 12. All right, moving on to part 13. We got an impulse engine. That's going to be pretty cool. And we got another wonderful section of the frame. Again, metal. And let's see if I can just shake these out. Ooh, this is nice. So we see our first introduction of the impulse engines. And this is going to go behind the dorsal fin, or behind the saucer pylon or the neck. You can see where the screws are going to go to hold it into place. So that's going to be fun, testing that and lighting it out. And what is this? This is a small plastic part. I'm not quite sure where that's going to go, but we'll find out. Maybe it's going to hold the lights in place. And we have a section of BP screws going into plastic, and the BM, of course the M, going into metal. So that's everything in the parts pack labeled number 13. Okay, moving on to part 14. You can see might not be a lot of flash in this build number, but there are pieces that we're going to need in place to strengthen the hull and the frame, the overall structure of the model. So what's interesting about this one is this is actually taped in. This is actually, we see our first other circuit board piece, because we got a circuit board already, if you remember, to test out that came with the power pack. I'm not quite sure what this is. Maybe this is going to be for the lights. Actually, this is looks like it could be a strip of LEDs, maybe to light up the impulse engines. And we got there's a package of screws in here, and this would be BM going into metal, and another awesome section of the frame. Seems like we're getting a lot of these. I'm in a hurry to see the completed hull. So that's what's in that section. And let's see if I can. Okay, so we have some packages. This one looks like it contains a lens, a clear plastic lens. Maybe it goes into the impulse engine, I'm not sure. We'll find out. And we have CP going into plastic. And we have another, there's two screws here, BP, which would go into plastic pieces. And lastly, looks like the lens would go into this. And you can see where the screws will hold it into place. So I'm wondering if that light strip goes in this, or if this has anything to do with the impulse engine, or if this is a different piece, but we'll see. So, my friends, that is everything that's included in parts or build part number 14. From the magazine to all the parts. And like I usually do, I don't want this video to go on forever. So the next video, we're going to get together and we're going to build everything. So this is going to be the unboxing. I wanted to show you in detail everything you got with this build part number 4. And in the next video, we're going to bring it all together. So I'll see you guys very soon in another video. Thanks for watching.